candidates for Second D to submit enrollment certificates for verification or face prosecution. Details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Stay with me.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
Thank you so much for choosing us this afternoon to our first story. The flag bearer of the governing NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is touting his government's achievement in poverty alleviation. Yesterday, the vice president engaged the press and attempted to provide answers to journalists regarding his vision for the country. Cries of economic hardship across all sectors of the country's economy now sound like a broken record, which is why political parties are pivoting towards addressing this phenomenon. Starr FM's Ibrahim Alassan, during the engagement, reminded the vice president of his claims of suffering by ordinary Ghanaians and proceeded to ask what the current state of hardship was in the country.
Your Excellency, in 2016, when we were on the campaign trail, you had this declaration, and it's a very famous one. Our parents are suffering, students are suffering, traders are suffering, pensioners are suffering, drivers are suffering, contractors are suffering, civil servants are suffering, farmers are suffering, fishermen are suffering, men are suffering, women are suffering, children are suffering, and Ghanaians as a whole are suffering. May I know the status of suffering of these individuals today?
So that was a question by Starr FM's Ibrahim Alassan. But Dr. Bawumia, while admitting times are tough, said his government had made moves to address the challenge.
We've provided funding over the last 8 years to 444,000 SMEs, 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. Which has been quite significant by any account and very historic in that regard. So I think that, yes, the suffering is there, but we've done a lot of social intervention to ameliorate that suffering. It's not gone, but at least we can point to things that have gone in to reduce the suffering of our people. I mean, even renewing National Health Insurance card was a problem. Just to renew it, many people had to go and sleep. I know in my constituency, people had to go to the NHI office and sometimes sleep for 3 days before they could renew National Health Insurance membership. But today, you just sit in your home and renew. Today, you sit in your home and buy electricity credit. You don't need to take trotro or taxi and go somewhere else to do it. So we've done quite a bit to reduce the suffering of people, even though, of course, it is not complete. We still have more to do.
Well, so you had the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, speaking there, but has this reflected in your pocket? Our colleague, Obed King Gaglo, has taken to the street to find out what the public makes of this particular comment. Obed, where are you now and what have they been saying to you concerning Bawumia's submission?
Right. Awisi Dede, I am currently in Odododo constituency, specifically around the Zongolen area to engage Ghanaians about what they make of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's claim that the suffering in the country has reduced compared to 2016. So let me engage some of the residents here and find out their reaction with regard to that very statement. You are welcome to Starr FM. What do you make of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's claim that suffering in the country has reduced? Who is saying?
Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia. Na sem no kase ahochere wo oman ni mo no aba fo mo no sabi kasem ne kasem wa fi area man ba afofom but eja no matifie en kasa sa every say o man na etimu no yini ma ho kire ene o hawo yin na mu because me kasa sia me ton ade o kantamanto tama nanado ebe pe akunya no ne ba omi ano o mba kantamanto be ka kire yin pe say see to abade ma o ma eye bill no price ya ton 700 Ghana cedis then start on the bill na 700 Ghana cedis enti no baka kire say o mbati amaye amane ma ba fom amata ho kire na yoga ma amare ya fom le be ba fom ampa yin na jinu tum ene ye to ba ma nanado ne ba omi be ye mantenyo mai ye nanado ka kire say ba omi a eye obi a o economic messiah sabi onimuti ya na dwun bobi wo economic nti oba tutu ne ma ya mai but see ameno ka say bill na ton 700 Ghana cedis no see 25 million the lowest price for woman 18 million it is sub yona then mama time 700 Ghana cedis no and in 25 million the why na mamamu won papa me say John Dramani mama amambo no na is far better than nanado mamamu e hu dey say but me asma o ka kira as o didi atem sub o didi atem as aja no matifi na ekomode o mana o mana su da ekomode na o ka say ekomode na o ma mi ni ho ana ekomode ko ma na ho.
All right. Midday was be so I would say that was a resident here in the Odududu constituency, specifically around Congo Lane, who tells us that he applied the street in the Kantamanto market, and before now, the prices of the bill that they use to import in the country has increased drastically. But let me engage some more residents and find out what they make of that session. You're welcome to Starr News.
Thank you very much.
What do you make about the claim that suffering in the country has reduced?
It has not reduced because we are still suffering in this country. Everyone is suffering in this country. Your mom can go to the market. She can stay there for, I think, 8 to 9 hours without even selling anything, and then she'll come back to the house. What will the mother give to the children when she'll be going to the market the next time again? So we are in this suffering in this country, especially the nurses, the doctors, the students. Everyone in this country are suffering. So we are pleading with the government. We are pleading with everyone in this country that Ghana needs a change.
All right, thank you very much. Let me engage some more residents here.
Obed, because of time, we appreciate your time. You would have to engage them for our subsequent bulletin, but we have to go. Thank you so much, Obed, for giving us update from Accra on people's reactions to Baumia's submission yesterday. But then Nanama is in the studio with what you've been saying on social media. Nanama Akwa, what have people been saying on social media?
A lot, because people are complaining that they are suffering. When we go to X, formerly Twitter, Kobina says, if this is your definition for reducing our suffering, then we're better off without you. Derry says he says it like he is suffering some. Nana J adds, what suffering is he talking about? The one his administration cast upon us, or he's saying make we blame Mahama. When we go over to Facebook, Atinga says he actually enumerated all the interventions they have put in place that lessens the burdens of various groupings. Then we have Wanda, who says, so fuel from 5 Ghana cedis in 2016 to 15 Ghana cedis, then $1 to 4 Ghana cedis in 2016, and 16 Ghana cedis now, is what he is referring to as a reduction. No amount of chew and pour will save your sank credibility. Straight to opposition. Then Rebecca asks, who brought the hardship or the suffering, as you call it? Matthew quips, no wonder they say Netherlands passport is better than PhD. Then when we move over to Instagram, you all should not waste your time to talk on politics, because even they know they don't deserve the position for sake of their corruption. Prince adds, our only protection and survival is from Jah, not politicians. Then our last comment that we have here, this is honestly, and he says integral, but that's not the word he's looking for. Ghanaians always look for in our leaders. Bawumia is the best man for this right time. We the youth cannot risk our future with JM. Bawumia is the best man for the job. Now that's what we had to say in this particular time, Dede. Back over to you.
Thank you so much, Nanama, for giving us what people have been saying on social media. But Dr. Bawumia also disclosed there was a 50% reduction in import duties between 2019 and 2021. According to him, this would have continued were it not for the economic hardship in 2022.
What is interesting also is that we've had the lowest increase in electricity tariffs in recent history. Between his time, 2009, and 2016, when they were in office, the average annual increase in electricity tariffs was 50% a year. That's the average. Some of the years were 80%. Between 2009 and 2016, 50% average a year. In the last 8 years, the average increase in electricity prices has been 11.1. When we came in our first term, we abolished and reduced 21 separate taxes. And we reduced import duties by 50% between 2019 and 2021. 50% reduction in import duties. And that, of course, we had to go back on that when we got into the crisis.
Well, the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana has been reacting to the comment by the Vice President. According to the President of the Association, Samson Awingobet, there were no such tax cuts.
Yes, there was nothing like tax reduction on that benchmark values. What was, and I'm saying that if the Vice President think that he did the benchmark, it was a tax reduction, did they go to our domestic tax, our domestic parliament, for it to be domesticated or for it to accept it? Because, mind you, before you collect any 1% or 0.5% of any tax, you must have Parliament must approve it, isn't it? So there was, and that is why Parliament or Auditor General cannot hold them accountable because they didn't break any law. They were accepting transactional values. Yes, if they said they were accepting transactional value, I agree. But what went wrong? They've taken it back again. And today, we are all crying. Okay. So the business community, as we speak now, know that the government has really cost, and many people have lost their capital. I'm telling you, many people are no more important to this country. And I think I said around July or June, there, but if care is not taken, by September to October, there will be hunger in this country because goods and price will go up. And true, prices are up and up in arms, and consumers are all complaining. And so he is now promising us a duty-free, isn't it? A flat rate to equate our port with Lome and Africus to make it business-friendly for us. We are also asking that, okay, we know that Ghana rate that we implemented now are from ECOWAS Common External Tariff. We are with ECOWAS Commission. And so at which of his budget? Is it his first year budget that is going to address them? Is it his second year budget or first year mid-year budget review? And so I am asking for timelines of the promises that he's making.
So still on the reactions from the Vice President's earlier presser, Ningo Prampram MP Sam George wants Ghanaians to ignore the Vice President's claim. According to him, his comments have no credence. He spoke on GH today.
Listen, the MPP, but all their promises are audio, is sound bites. Okay, the money is audio money. It's like Sakawa. It was Mahmoud Bawumia. He is the one who promised it. And I'm saying to you that, Sewa, look, our politics must go to the place where we hold people accountable for the promises that they make. And when they fail to make it, we must call them out. And I'm saying that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a liar. Okay. Because he lied to the Ghanaian people. He lied to the young people of the country. And why did I go and bring this one constituency, $1 million? It's because of the question on jobs. Because the streets are listening to us. The young people of our country are listening. Dr. Bawumia promised them jobs. He promised them jobs. And now he has failed. He lied about providing them jobs. He didn't provide them the jobs. And now he's lying again that he's created 2.3 million.
So he has Ningo Prampram MP Sam George speaking on GH today earlier. Well, we understand Dr. Bawumia has begun his tour of the Greater Accra region. His tour will take him to the Ablekuma North and West constituencies, where he's expected to interact with traders at the Mala markets, spare parts dealers at Kokompe as well. But let's still remain on the campaign trail, because the presidential candidate for the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has pledged to abolish what he describes as draconian taxes within his first 120 days in office if elected in the upcoming 2024 general elections. Among the taxes he plans to eliminate are the controversial e-levy, the COVID levy, the 10% tax on betting winnings, and the emission levy. Speaking at the launch of the NDC's 2024 manifesto in Winneba, John Dramani Mahama emphasized that these measures are aimed at alleviating economic hardship and reducing the high cost of doing business in Ghana.
We'll scrap the following draconian taxes to alleviate hardship and ease the high cost of doing business in our first 90 days in office. 1. E-levy. 2. COVID levy. 3. Betting tax. 4. Emissions levy. And we'll review taxes and levies on vehicles and equipment imported into the country for industrial and agricultural purposes.
The NDC leader also promised the distribution of free sanitary pads to girls in basic and senior high schools nationwide. The initiative, the former president says, forms part of efforts to alleviate the current economic hardship facing Ghanaians. This pledge follows public debate suggesting an elimination of import duty on imported sanitary pads.
There are many students who are unable to take up their places in tertiary educational institutions because they cannot afford to pay their academic user fees, the academic fees. And so we'll take that stress off them. For the first year, they will not be required to pay fees. And I assure the universities it will not affect their internal generated funds. We're going to give the money to the student's loan. The student loan will pay it to the universities as a grant. It will be paid as a grant, not as a loan. And aside from that, we're going to increase the subvention that goes to our public universities so that we can improve quality and learning in those universities. We will provide free tertiary education for all persons with disability. And we will provide free sanitary pads for girls in school.
So you had there the NDC flag bearer promising free sanitary pads for young girls in basic and senior high schools. Well, we have Shamima Muslim, who is a gender advocate and a spokesperson for the NDC manifesto team on gender issues. Shamima, good to have you on the bulletin. First of all, we are curious. We want to find out, how will this particular policy be rolled out?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I didn't get the opening, but it's the policy about the free sanitary pads to girls, right?
Yes. We want to find out how it's going to be rolled out.
Well, you know that this particular policy has been implemented before in the first time of the His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, because we had picked up a lot of information and statistics about the number of contact hours young girls in our basic schools especially were losing because of their period and the absenteeism that was high amongst the female learners, because at least 5 days a week, every 5 days, yes, in a month, some of them will not come to school because of the sanitary conditions in the school and because they didn't have proper menstrual hygiene management materials. One of your own colleagues, Alice, has done a lot of work on this particular phenomenon. She has traveled across different, communities to speak to girls about how they manage their menstrual hygiene, and it's a major barrier to quality education for our young girls. And in the true consciousness of these issues, that advocates and activists have been calling that we need to look at ending period poverty. His Excellency John Mahama has announced that he's going to bring this policy back. So the challenge with the policy is not with any rolling out. We know exactly what we are going to do, and we know how we are going to drive it to ensure that we meet the immediate needs of all young girls in our basic schools and by extension also to our senior high schools. There are so many, the majority of them struggle on a monthly basis. We know that there are reports of girls who have lost their virginity, who have become pregnant because they've had to rely on some man to buy them sanitary towels. So please, this policy is what we have been calling for, let us support it so that we can end period poverty in Ghana.
But then, Shamima, we know, you and I know that period poverty does not only exist in our schools. Many adults and young girls out of school do not have access to sanitary pads. What measures would the party put in place to reduce increasing the cost of sanitary pads?
So our first level is with the basic schools, and the fear there is because of the numbers of young girls who are losing out on contact hours. So for that level of intervention, it is providing access to sanitary pads. But we also do recognize the general affordability issue. And that's why we're saying that we're going to look at the raft of legislation and tactics on these materials that make it prohibitive for the average woman to be able to afford. And even girls who are not in school, even though we would want girls to be in school, all girls of school-going age should be in school. And the free sanitary pass is one of the incentives we hope to campaign upon to get girls back into school. Now, what do we do with the high cost of menstrual materials? We're going to look at the existing tax regime, and we're going to ensure, because we are doing a Ghana, promoting made in Ghana goods, and we want to energize our local production, we're going to have a lot of incentives for manufacturing organizations that want to go into menstrual hygiene management material production, so we can substantially reduce the cost on those. And we're going to also look at the tax regime on the importation of these materials to see how we can discourage, mass importation of menstrual hygiene materials, so we can create markets for the local businesses that would go.
Okay.
We're also going to promote alternative menstrual hygiene materials, like the cup that some people are using now, which is something you can wash and reuse, so you don't have to buy a pad every month, like the reusable sanitary pads. And for those people, they have to have access to water and soap to be able to wash these ones. So we're looking at the raft of alternatives that we are going to make available to ease period poverty when John Mahama wins the December elections with your support and your vote.
Right, Shamima, before I let you go, there are some families we know can afford sanitary pads for their wards and their daughters. Why is this a blanket policy? Why is it not targeted then?
So this is the vision of the policy. In the implementation of it, look at how cumbersome it will be to go to a school and say, okay, those who can afford, line up, those who, that we are giving everything. We are working with the school management authorities to ensure that there are sanitary materials available for girls who need it. If you're in a school, A, school B, girl in that school, and you don't need a sanitary pad, like the girls are doing, some of the girls, they are the ones that are able to support their colleagues who don't have and share their menstrual materials with them.
Right.
So in every school, when you don't need it, you don't take it.
Okay.
But it has to be there.
Right.
And the girls must know that if they need a pad, they can go to the school in primary and get a pad, and there is access. We just need to remove that barrier and make it available for all girls who need it and who want to use it.
All right. Thank you so much, Shamima Muslim. Shamima Muslim is a gender advocate and also a spokesperson for the NDC Manifesto team on gender issues. Still on the NDC Manifesto, Okada Riders Association has lauded the NDC's promise to introduce a new pension scheme for organized groups in the informal sector. Let's hear John Mahama speaking on it.
Scheme, so that persons in the informal sector who want to put something aside for their pension and their retirement can put 10 Ghana cedis a day, 5 Ghana cedis a week, 50 Ghana cedis a week. They will keep paying it so that when it gets to their turn for retirement, they have some money that they can rely on. We'll also, this pension scheme will cover commercial drivers and my dear Okada riders. They will also be part of the pension scheme.
You just had the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, making the submissions on the pension scheme for the informal sector. Let's get a better understanding of what the scheme is from the NDC spokesperson on economy, Isaac Adongo.
We are aware that at the moment, the working class, particularly the informal sector, is not being properly covered in terms of their retirement. And it is also the reason that most funds that could be available to grow the capital base of our country and improve investment are not being tapped for national development. It is for this reason that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is proposing the establishment of a pension scheme which caters to the needs of the poor and underprivileged, and largely the informal sector. And the reason is what I have just explained, and our intention is to provide different levels of pension cover to meet the needs of these underserved group of people. And so in 2025, our vision is to establish a pension scheme that will cater to the needs of the underserved.
So how is it going to be like?
We would develop this as part of the general financial inclusion policy that we are implementing, which will seek to bring a lot of Ghanaians into the financial system.
So you had the NDC spokesperson on economy, Isaac Adongo, national PR for the Okada Riders Association, Solomon Akpanaba, has joined me in the studio to get his thought on what his outfit make of this particular promise. Solomon, many thanks for joining me in the studio. What do you make of Mahama's promise for the pension scheme for you people?
Well, we think it's long overdue. But before I start, let me say good afternoon to your listeners and then Okada riders across the country. We think this should have been a very old package as far as the age of riding in Ghana is concerned. But it's better late than never. So we thank God for the life of those who thought about it and decided to include it in the manifesto, and we are very grateful for them.
Right. Before you go, I want to understand how difficult and challenging has it been for people, Okada riders, especially when they are gearing towards their old age?
Okay, thank you for this question.
Those who cannot work now.
Yeah, thank you for this question. Not only old age that make people helpless, and vulnerable. Some
accidents.
Yeah, either accidents or other maybe outbreak of fire or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, can lead to people being very vulnerable. So it is proper this kind of system or welfare policies should have been there for a very long time. So the riders are very happy and they are just praying that the NDCs will come to power and then actually implement what they promised to do.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon, for making time to speak with us on this particular matter. That was Solomon Akpanaba, the PRO for the Okada Riders Association. Meanwhile, Minister for Tourism, Art and Culture, Andrew Ejapamesa, has described the 100-day promise by ex-president, 120-day promise by ex-president Mahama as a political gimmick. Take a listen to him.
The industries that are 24-hour compliant, they are already operating.
What industries?
Manufacturing.
Which manufacturing companies?
Entertainment. You say many. Go to Tema. Many manufacturing companies operate 24 hours.
Which ones?
Many. Nestle. I used to live in Committee 8. Go to Tema now. Go to the industrial area. He lives close there. They are operating. You go to Osu Entertainment. They are there. Hotels. They are operating. It's interesting they moved away from the rearing of lions and chimpanzees. Now they're going to develop a framework for us. We'll see how the 133 works. Passport office, licensing, or they are not part of it anymore. The joke, the basis of our economic challenges are there in black and white. Nobody can run away from them.
All right, so it's time for sports, and my colleague Jones is in the studio with sports news.
Right, so to some breaking news where Sven Goran Eriksson, England's first overseas manager and winner of multiple awards at club level, has died this morning at the age of 76. Eriksson revealed in January that he had been diagnosed with terminal cancer and that he likely had at best about a year to live. He stood down from his final job as sporting director at Kastad in his native Sweden. So Eriksson's managerial career spanned for more than 4 decades, during which he won 18 trophies. He coached clubs like Benfica, Fiorentina, Roma, Lazio, Man City, Mexico national teams, and English, and then the Ivorian national team. Now, GPO winner Samatex will face Raja Athletic Club of Morocco in the next round of the Champions League qualifiers, following a 1-0 win over Cameroonian giant Victoria United at the Accra Sports Stadium, while FA Cup champions Nsoatreman FC will slug it out with CS Constantine of Nigeria in the playoff round of the Confederations Cup. My name is Jones Aji, and that's all for sports.
Thank you so much, Jones, for giving us a sport. Before we go, the National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for the 2nd D constituency, lawyer Blay Nyamike Ama, has been directed by the General Legal Counsel to submit his enrollment certificate for verification. According to the GLC, it has received complaints that he is holding himself out publicly as a lawyer when he is allegedly not qualified to do so. The letter by the GLC stated that should he fail to comply, he would be referred to the Office of the Attorney General for criminal prosecution. And that brings us to the end of the Starr Midday News here on Starr 103.5 FM. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gh. Have a good afternoon.